Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
The Army says one of its biggest modernization efforts has reached a turning point. After years of testing, officials say its Next Generation Command and Control Program, or NGC2, is ready to move beyond experiments and into broader use across the force. The goal is to replace a patchwork of aging command and control systems with a single, data-driven network that helps commanders make faster decisions on the battlefield. But turning that vision into a reality will mean overcoming technical, budget, and cultural challenges. To learn what those are, Federal News Network's Rachel Cohen joins us with more. Rachel, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's start with some of the basics. Lay out for us what exactly Next Generation Command and Control is and why has it become such a high priority for the Army to get it implemented?
Yeah, NGC2 is the Army's effort to replace dozens of separate C2 systems with, one single integrated network that connects sensors, weapons, and the people who use them. So instead of forcing troops to switch between different applications that don't always communicate with each other because they weren't designed to, the goal is to create just one kind of common operating picture that updates in real time and let them send data back and forth. So Army leaders say that kind of speed is essential in future wars where you'll have to make decisions, in seconds, minutes, a much more compressed timeline than what we have right now.
Got it. And if the Army leaders are saying that the program is ready for prime time, what convinced them that it has reached that point? What kind of barometer were they using to measure that?
Yeah, so the Army has its series called Project Convergence, and soldiers have used NGC2 technologies in sort of real world, realistic operational scenarios. So leaders say that they proved they can connect data from multiple sources. They can send it quickly out to commanders and operate with commercial tech instead of only kind of custom built systems. So they believe the concept is mature enough to expand it beyond just those demos and work out the kinks once it's in the field.
All right. And one of the promises of NGC2, and you kind of just explained a little bit about it, is giving commanders a clearer picture of what's actually happening on the battlefield in real time. How different could that be from the system that soldiers are using today to find out what's exactly going on?
It could look pretty different. Like I said, today's command and control environment has a lot of different systems that weren't necessarily designed to talk to each other. And so they've had to, kind of figure out how to build the connective tissue there. So NGC2 is part of that connective tissue, and it helps soldiers spend less time gathering data and sifting through data, and really cuts down on that decision-making time too. So the goal is units would be more responsive in operations that are moving faster. So, the idea is hopefully it'll cut down on a lot of the manual work that people are doing today, and just give people better connectivity instead of keeping them kind of in their silos.
Talking here with Federal News Network defense reporter Rachel Cohen. All right, so the Army has talked about using, commercial technology, delivering software updates faster than it has in the past. What is that affecting in how it actually buys and develops technology? And I guess this would be a good test for that strategy, would it not?
Yeah. So rather than building one, big system owned by the Army that takes years to develop, often those go over schedule, over budget, not great. The Army wants to try and solve that by using commercial software, cloud services, open standards that they can, or that industry can upgrade continuously. They've compared it more to updating smartphone apps instead of waiting, years for a new phone to come out, right? So the idea is that they would get improvements out to the field much, much faster, as they see new kinds of threats pop up, as they see a need for new kinds of capabilities.
All right, so what is left for the soldiers that are actually going to be using this capability more broadly? What has to happen before they're able to do so? And in implementation of this scale, I imagine there are going to be some bumps along the road. What are some of the obstacles that it's going to have to overcome so this goes smoothly?
Yeah, they still have to do, integration work with the existing networks that are out there. They have to train people to use them, and they have to keep getting the funding to field it across the Army. So leaders have said that changing, those kind of long established ways of operating culturally can also be as difficult as getting the tech up and running itself. So the next few years, we'll see whether they can move from successful demos, kind of almost in a vacuum, to an operational capability that they use every day.
Rachel Cohen, defense reporter for Federal News Network. Thank you as always.
Thank you.
And you can find more of Rachel's reporting on this at federalnewsnetwork.com.